All right. Well, the College of Business Alumni Association, along with the College of Business and the Nevada Alumni Association, would like to welcome Darrell Plummer with Sierra Nevada Properties. Welcome, Darrell.
Thank you, Tom. Appreciate it. Nice to see all of you. Nice to meet some of you maybe for the first time in a virtual sense. And to my brother, Chris Merlin, nice to see you, brother. And Taylor, Zachary, Danielle, I know many of you and others I have not met. So if you don't mind, let me share first my connection to you, this alumni board, because it's fun for me. It dates me a little bit. It was just a few years ago. But before I was honored to serve as president of this alumni board, my college experience at UNR was a great time, and I hope that you did as well. I was honored to be president of Delta Sigma Pi, the business fraternity. That's where Chris and I are brothers. He's much younger than I am. And my senior vice president, when I was president of Delta Sig, is now my controller, Mark Panko, who I just had my weekly hourly 1 hour meeting with this morning. So that's the connections I've made through that great university for many years. So I was president of Delta Sig in '84, graduated in '85, and then was one of the founding members of Delta Sig's alumni chapter and president of that. And then I served as president of the College of Business. Back then we called it COBAA. And I'm still stuck on that because we held to that identity standards. It was College of Business Administration Alumni Association. So it was a lot of A's, and you guys have shortened it, so you're getting more concise here. So when I took over as president of COBAA, the alumni, I decided toward the end of my first year that I needed another year. You ever feel like you're leading something, you just don't have enough time to get it all done? We were really in the beginning of creating something, and I felt like I wasn't going to get what I wanted accomplished done in 1 year. But the only way I agreed to do it for 2 is if my executive board, my leadership team stayed with me. You're only as good as those that you surround yourself with, right, Tom? So to lead this organization, I had a great group, and I'd like to share some of those names with you because you'll probably know them. One, Richard Dick Reynolds, who is still a successful financial planner in this town. I'll give the credit to Dick Reynolds because the golf tournament that you will have, if you have it this year for its 30th anniversary, started the year I was president with Dick Reynolds because he had a golf background. So Dick still golfs all the time. His son now is one of my son's best friends. 20 something years later, these two 20-year-olds are best friends. And Dick and I were just two young guys on a board together. So that's a part of my legacy, is that golf tournament, which is fun. Ron Zidek was at the time, managing partner of Grant Thornton, led me into getting on the WIN board. That's another story. Richard J., some of you may know, is a financial planner in town. Richard was the president before me. Heidi Ganzert, I think you know her name well. Heidi was on my board. That's where we first met and are still good friends from 30 years ago. Denny Williams was then a banking executive and now runs Meadows Bank and soon to retire. But Denny, I was 27 when I was president of this alumni board, and to get older people on it, I asked people in their 30s. So, now I just go, wow, I'm really old talking to you guys. So I had these older guys, the Ron Zideks and Denny Williams, the wisdom on my board. Scott Frost, I think, is now in Las Vegas. Great guy. And Scott Voller. Scott was president of Delta Sig before I was his senior vice president. Scott got on this board with me. And another part of our legacy, which is fun for me, and I want to share the screen with you, is we knew we needed to improve our communication or outreach to alumni. And I hear you guys talking about this with events. And hold on a second here. I asked Scott Voller, with his wisdom in the marketing world, to give us a masthead and a name for a newsletter. Does that sound familiar, look familiar? So this is in 1992. This may not be the first of the issues. It just happens to be one that I kept because I'm photoed in there with Dr. Ansari, one of my professors. The two of us were getting recognized. I was getting what I believe was outstanding alumnus, and he was getting outstanding faculty. But I'm going to email this to you because it's just fun archives, because this is the newsletter. There's Mike Reed, the dean, alumni notes, our corporate members, supporters, alumni, our membership dues. So that's just some fun stuff. But when I a while back, I saw something pop out of your organization, and I emailed Jim McClanahan. All of you know Jim. And I said, hey, Jim, this looks really familiar to me. And hold on a second. I'm trying to get it over to you. What is that dragging? Does that look familiar? So here is your magazine, The Venture. Now this says the College of Business Alumni magazine. This was 2015. Maybe the first time I saw it coming out, and I said, hey, that sounds really familiar. And I emailed Jim, and Jim's story is he found one of our old ones in a box somewhere in the archives, pulled it out and said, I like the name. And the name continued to move on, because this is your most recent one right here. Hold on a second. I swear, the dragging of the mouse. Hold on a minute. You got shared screen. Well, I can't get it over. I can't drag it over, but you've seen the most recent Venture magazine coming out of your College of Business. So that is another fun story of connection. I then went on to be chair of the Dean's Advisory Board to Mike Reed for 2 years, many years ago, and then a corporate partner of the College of Business. So real estate. You guys want to talk real estate? I guess you guys want to talk real estate. Let me pop something up, see if I can get it over to the shared screen.
Before Darrell, we're doing a promotion every month through the College of Business, and if you want to offer members a free house or something like that, that would be fantastic.
Okay, we'll talk about it. Okay.
Okay, perfect.
Perks. So our firm, Sierra Nevada Properties, my father started in 1979, so we've been locally owned for 41 years. I've owned the firm for 21 years. I've been with the firm for 26. So we've got about 115 agents. We're primarily a residential firm. Currently with 3 office locations, Fallon, Fernley, and our Reno, Maine here at McCarran and Lakeside. We have a small commercial group, and we have a small property management division as well. So we're keeping pretty busy in this market, but quite frankly, we keep busy in any market. So I think I've got a shared screen here in a minute, and I'll move to a few things. I don't want to bore us with a lot of slides. So I got just a couple here, and then I'll get off of slides, okay? Now, Taylor and I go back to a few years ago when I was the chair of the Reno Sparks Chamber of Commerce, but my family's all from Reno. I'm a 4th generation Nevadan. While I really grew up in San Jose, went to Los Gatos High, then I transferred up here to UNR, and the rest is, just becoming a Nevada resident here and loving it. So a couple of housing stats for you, sound bites, if you will. During March of 2021, Reno Sparks had 459 sales of existing single-family homes, an increase of 19.5% from February of 2021, and an 11.4% decrease from March of 2020. The median sales price for an existing single-family residence in Reno Sparks in March of 2021 is at $450,000, an increase of 7.8% from last month, and a 16.9% increase from the previous year. The median sales price of an existing condominium or townhome in Reno Sparks in March was $245,000, an increase of 2.3% from last year. Now, the slides that follow are what I'm going to just share, send to you. I don't want to sit and look at slides with you. I'd rather talk to you. So these are slides that are pretty cool that just move through the charts, the visuals, and then give you numbers year over year or to prior month. Okay, so that's that part of it. The other thing that I wanted to show you that comes from your great our great university is the what's called the bubble chart. I don't know why some of these things I cannot share over, so I'm not going to keep trying to drag it. So the housing chart that Brian Bonifant comes out with, are you familiar with it? So it'll come out in about a week. And if you saw what I'm looking at on my other monitor that I can't drag over, it's insane the story we have from what we thought was once a great story in 03, 04, 05. You know, that market peaked in the end of 05 at about 350,000. And then we went through the next 5-6 years of what we call now the Great Recession. and it got as low as below 150,000 in median price in the in the 2011 range was the lowest of it. And then it just skyrockets from 2011, and we surpassed the 350 range at about 2017. We hit it again, and then we're at 454 now. And Brian Bonifant thinks there'll be a small uptick in this next quarter, because I anxiously I prod him for when's your next quarter update coming out. So I'll give you that one-page visual because it's quite a story. There are a lot of people that are sitting on properties they've purchased for investment or home ownership to live in, and they may have bought it at the lowest, which means their equity growth has been phenomenal. If now they think's the right time to buy low and sell high, especially an investor with a rental property. Days to contract, our board calls it days to contract, 18 days right now, which is down from 34 days a year ago, 47% down days to contract. So when my own friends, like last night, Zillow my wife and say, hey, not Zillow, texted my wife last night and said, here's a house. We saw it on Zillow. We want to go see it. I went, well, first of all, is it even available? Think of Homes and Land magazine. By the time it gets in that magazine, do you guys really think it's still available in this market? So online, when it goes online, do you think it's still available in this market? It's not. I mean, houses, days on market, days to contract being 18 days, properties are selling before they almost get on the market with multiple offers. So I can ramble. I want to open it up to what would you like me to talk about? What questions do you have?
Michelle, are you seeing the same kind of numbers over at Chase?
Oh yeah, everything Darrell said is really regional and even outside of the area, in the rural areas too. It's crazy. Everyone thinks realtors are making tons of money right now, right, Darrell? But you have to find the house, and there's just not a lot of people listing their homes because they don't have anywhere to go, and they know they'll sell it within the 18 days Darrell's talking about.
So the friend of ours that texted my wife last night, I came upstairs, got on my computer, looked at MLS. The property, of course, was already pending. It had sold within a couple of days. I texted that agent yesterday evening and said, how strong is the current buyer? Because buyers are moving so quickly to purchase that they're changing their minds shortly thereafter, and there's fallouts. You won't see it because when it falls out, it's sold before it ever went back on the market again. That's how hot it is. So I texted the agent and said, how does it look with the current buyer in escrow? Would your seller consider a backup? And he said, well, we don't know yet, in that inspections are coming and there could be discussion. Because why are there inspections? There are buyers waiving inspections. So if inspections are an issue, that buyer didn't buy to close. So because right now buyers are making offers to close and waiving off in a lot of things. So that seller is considering, would consider a backup offer. There's a formal way to do it. And then just this morning at 8:20, right in the middle of one of my meetings, I'm texting one of my top agents to meet my friend at 9:15 at the house because the seller just this morning gave permission. They saw it. And then my friend said, we want to write a backup offer. So they're writing a backup offer today, and it may or may not become available to move into first position. So the market's insane. Buyers are offering not just over asking price, but in many cases, far over asking price. And then we get into the issues of appraisal. Will a buyer have the ability to come in with all cash somehow, and then right when they close, finance after close, so their cash doesn't create issues of appraisal, et cetera. To talk a little bit about pandemic, there's challenges that we are not yet facing that are pending or building up. The eviction moratorium that our governors extended through the end of May, CDC's extended it on a national level through the end of June, is allowing tenants, some to strategically not pay, and others because of hardship, loss of job, et cetera, to not pay. But it's creating a hardship on the owner of that property that would still needs to pay a mortgage, who may or may not get a mortgage forbearance, et cetera. So delinquencies are on the rise. We may see more distressed properties come on the market, and that creates opportunity for buyers. That creates concern, because we don't want to see a glut of inventory and go the opposite, and it turns into a huge pendulum swing to a buyer's market, taking advantage of sellers that are distressed. So there is some concern with the combination of those things coming up in the future. Gosh, I'm trying to think of what else you guys would want to know. I mean, there's just so much going on in the market. What do you want to know about? You want to know about transactional stuff, or I don't want to throw stats. Stats are stats. I can email you stats.
Darrell, I got a quick question for you.
Yeah.
With the increase in interest rates and financing, what impact do you think that's going to have on the market?
Well, I know I have Taylor here, so I knew if anybody asked me a mortgage question, I'd say I'm a real estate agent, broker, not a mortgage lender. So I'll just give my own soundbite. Every time interest rates go up, buyers go into a frenzy to buy now and not tomorrow. So there's such a pent up demand of buyers. If there were more homes available, more homes would be selling. So interest rates can always go up. I heard Brian's counterpart, peer Brian Cushing, talking a little bit about maybe an uptick here, but I don't think an uptick's going to do much to a buyer's frenzy right now. Somehow, some way, buyers have money and they're willing to spend it and pay more than they should. It's weird when buyers are paying more than they should. So a buyer investor shouldn't. A buyer that's buying to raise their kids. I've been in my house in Somerset for 17 years, so I guess I wasn't looking to a flip.
Darrell, are you seeing a lot of, is it California? I mean, that's the rumor that everyone's moving from California, or are Reno people buying homes?
I had something one of my staff put together. Certainly California was the first of what we can track where buyers are coming from. California being from the Bay Area, the northern region, our I-80 corridor. And then I want to say the other states were Arizona, and I want to say Oregon was one of them. We're studying internally where our buyers come from, because we don't get that data coming out of the MLS. MLS doesn't know. They don't track that as a source. We all talk about buyers from California with cash. I don't have any evidence that there are more buyers paying cash right now. There's still a lot of loans being pursued in the purchase. So I don't have any evidence yet coming out of our MLS does track the financing type. But I'm also tracking internally by asking all of our agents, where did your buyer come from? Were they a local buy up, buy down, or were they from out of state? And if out of state, where? But California in that region from the Bay Area to here is the biggest area.
And so not many open houses these days. Do you see that ever coming back?
Well, open houses are happening right now. You're starting to see more signs of agents. During the governor's directive, open houses were nixed, and I was okay with that. We should all be concerned more about our health than selling a house. So even when the governor loosened open houses for our industry as an essential business, I still told my agents they're not going to do them. I said, listen, I don't want to be the first firm out there doing an open house and doing it wrong. That's called a Yelp review. I don't want to see from a neighbor that says, I saw a cluster, a super spreader. I didn't see people 6 feet apart, and the agent just said, come on in, and it was a mass party. And in this kind of market, you'd have a mass party. You'd have everybody in line trying to get in front of the other person. We're just starting, actually, Taylor, this month with open houses, following CDC, following governor. But I'm encouraging, since April of last year, more virtual online Facebook open houses, and we're training our agents extensively on how to do that. That's, to me, the future. For the agent in the house, it has more shelf life. You're gonna have more views online than a one-time event, and then go get your signs and hope the wind didn't blow them down the whole 3 hours you were sitting in your open house. And you wonder why 2 people came because the wind blew down your directional signs. I mean, I've heard it all over 26 years of the open house that no one came to, and the open house that had great success. So I think the consumer wants the efficiency, if you will, too. I prefer a Zoom. I've got a board meeting tomorrow with the board I'm on as past chair. And do I go with half of them that are there or be the half that are Zoom? I'd rather be Zoom. It's just much more efficient for my time.
Can you talk a little bit about building projects? I mean, we keep hearing that we need doors. Is our city ever going to build enough homes for the people moving here?
Well, I've heard the builders that have been through the Great Recession say, "Don't look at me. You know, don't put pressure on me to overbuild. I've survived it because I was smart." And then there were a lot of builders that are not even in our market anymore because they didn't make it through that tough time. And then there's new builders that came out of that tough time. But you know, they're going to be very strategic with how they build. What the builders do when they come into the market is they start to cooperate with realtors, say, "Hey, we need you, bring your buyers, we're going to pay you a commission." And then as the market gets hotter, their commissions are reduced or to nothing because they don't need us, because that's how hot the market is. So I respect those decisions. If a builder doesn't cooperate with the realtor and builds a house, that house is a resale for an agent sometime in the future. They're creating inventory for us to have a profession, quite frankly. So whether they cooperate or not is irrelevant to me. Build houses, create an environment for people to buy, create something affordable. I don't know why there's not more affordable housing. That's a challenge for me. Even the small little tiny house costs too much.
Do you see these builders just going towards building these mass condos and apartments? You see them popping up everywhere now.
Well, you're certainly seeing the apartments all over the place. And some of you like me will say, I don't like it right next to Hub Coffee on the river, but that's what we're going to see. You know, I know of some really big projects, whether they happen or not. Gosh, Taylor, I think you're the one that told me about it. The one that's just west of Somerset here. I still haven't seen it in the paper. I'm just missing articles on it with, I believe that's Fred Altman.
6,000 homes, I believe.
Yeah, I mean, they're either going infill by tearing down old and building new in that midtown hot environment, or they're going further out into the North Valleys, or they're going further east. You know, I've heard of, but haven't seen it yet, housing projects right at that USA Parkway corridor, so that when someone comes out of Trick, they don't have to drive to Reno Sparks for expensive homes or go to Fernley for their alternative. They can just stay right in one of those little pockets off the river, and there'll be housing projects. I haven't seen it yet. I hear about it. You know, I keep hearing about things. I haven't seen it. Fallon's housing is so tight that people in Fallon that work in Fallon live in Fernley because they can't get a house in Fallon. So Fallon leadership, the mayor there and others say we need more homes. So they look at me and say, Darrell, get us a builder out of Reno that believes in Fallon and get them out here. We're an hour away and we've got this thriving community with the naval base out there, and they can't get homes built out in Fallon. So people are commuting from living in Fernley to buy or rent and then working in Fallon. Other questions?
That's depressing. I don't know. So Darrell, I mean, I actually asked a lady earlier this week who basically was from kind of like the Bay Area, what she would do if they were kind of in my position. She said that they would just buy duplexes to basically rent out to people. And this lady, I mean, she talked for 30 minutes about God knows what after a while, but I mean, what kind of other things can you do to like position yourself with everything going on? Because I don't know, I can't really speak for everyone on the call, but I'm certainly looking at a lot more heavily day to day.
You're trying to position yourself to buy or to sell?
Buy.
To live in or an investment?
Well, we got 7 minutes, so I think just to live in.
Okay. Well, I mean, if you're going to live in it and it's going to be a period of time, you know, I have a friend from Delta Sig, the business fraternity, that I reconnected with after 30 years, came to Reno for lunch a couple of years ago, thought about buying an investment property in Reno, and he's now kicking himself. He wish he had done it. He thought 3-4 years ago when I had lunch with him, it was peaking. He'd have a 16-17% increase in just the 1 year, just this last year. So he's in San Francisco doing well with his housing there, but when is it going to end, Chris? I don't know. You know, it's got to plateau. What I hope for all of us is we don't see the huge dive over what we saw from 05 down to that 2011. That was just a depressing time for most people, not just real estate professionals, but we all suffered when that happened. Construction professionals left the state and never came back. They had to go get a job. So they went to somewhere else that was building and never came back. So families were uprooted. You know, put your money aside, Chris, just keep saving and keep looking. There's always still an opportunity. There's, you know, in any market, there's a bank-owned foreclosure. There's an auction home. There's a courthouse steps home. You know, if you're patient, it's always available. That's always available. If you just got money coming out your pockets, then go overspend and hope the appraisal supports it, because appraisers are going crazy right now with what we all think the house is worth. So we're getting constant appraisal challenge as well.
Does your company plan on expanding outside of the Northern Nevada region?
Not, you know, I'm a Nevada broker. I once thought I might be a California broker as well, but you know, we'll stay in our region that I know and love, and we're a pretty large region to begin with. I mean, we do business out as far east as Lovelock. We're all over Hawthorne, Walker, quite often, Minden, Gardnerville, Carson, all the time. I mean, and I have experienced agents that live in Carson. One of my agents was up at South Tahoe just yesterday with a $2 million buyer. So I may have 3 offices, but my 115 agents are all over geographically. So our geo reach is rather large. Offices, bricks and mortar, are not something I care to have much of anymore. I've gone down from 6 to 4 to 3 and make more money. And my agents don't really care about that building they never went in. So, you know, so that's the future. You need them to a certain point, and then beyond that, you don't. So we'll stay in Northern Nevada. I don't see myself going into California in my career path. But we are growing. I'm constantly hiring and interviewing with experienced agents and new licensees. And we've got a great product and a great support team to do that. So my path as a company is, you know, 115 today, 200 tomorrow. And I didn't say 5 more offices.
Darrell, real quick, just touch on commercial real quick, because you made an interesting point. People aren't necessarily needing the brick and mortars anymore. Have you seen that in your commercial portfolio, or what are you seeing there?
Well, you know, it's kind of interesting when you listen to certain people, you expect to hear certain things. So my friends, my peers in the commercial office space, more than I am, of reputable firms, will be quoted in the papers that we all read, Northern Nevada Business Weekly, et cetera, saying they don't see this happening or of any concern in office space. Well, come on.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. I've got friends in the .com in the Bay Area, and he hasn't been back to work in their corporate office building downtown San Jose for 1.5 years. He's working out of his home in Santa Cruz and walking his dog on the beach every day. And he's their chief technology officer. He's got meetings in India and Denver, and he's all over the place. And and the nice office I once saw him in downtown San Jose, that was a corporate high rise. They moved to a little building, and now they're moving to a smaller building than the little building. So it's happening everywhere. Big firms in Reno, I won't name names, they've already said, hey, who of our department divisions want to stay working from home forever? We're going to take our 60,000 square foot lease that's coming up and downsize to 30,000. So don't think it's not happening. It is. Absolutely, it is. That's on the office side. You know, retail's got to figure out how it redefines itself, because now more than ever, we're going to just, you know, my wife's downstairs because someone just shipped something and they're installing it and assembling it. And, you know, it's just over and it's from Costco. And we didn't go to Costco. We just went online and here it is. You know, you're going to sell bicycles around the world. I think the smart ones will sell more because they'll reach a larger audience than that mom and pop shop on South Virginia Street. You know, you're going to have your walk-in traffic, and then 80% of your product will be sold online. Versus the opposite. 80% was walk-in. I need street frontage, and I hope to sell something on my website. I think retail is going to flip. It's going to just flip. and we'll see Uber Eats scooters all over town, or drones dropping off my meals. I think this pandemic has taken what we might have done in 5 years down to 1. It's just completely forced a process that I'm getting very accustomed to. I meet with my agents for 30-minute Zooms, and nobody has to drive anywhere. I can bring in guest speakers. This would have been a lot harder to get me up on that campus. The campus, the parking, that's a mindset. I know it's easy up there, but I can bring in anyone I want to speak to my agents every Monday on my Power Up Mondays, and the ease and speed of which I can get them is a day notice. Sure, I can be with you guys. What's the weather look like? Who cares? Who cares? So yeah, it's going to completely change the way we do business. Which, by the way, I get my second vaccination shot at 2 o'clock today, so wish me luck. So to stay on market for a minute, it is a hot seller market. What I've been saying to my agents, and I was on an hour interview with a Northern Nevada Business Weekly reporter yesterday. I said in 03, 04, 05, it was a hot seller market. This is not a hot seller market. We're not in one. We're in a hot seller market. For any of us that experienced it, especially as a real estate professional, that was a hot market. This one is beyond insane. It is further than the counseling, the discussions, the challenges that I'm having as a broker, helping my agents in transactions now. The style and the uniqueness and aggressiveness of an offer now, buyers are doing things now they were not doing in the hot seller market of 05. They're doing more, giving more, offering more. You want to close what day? You need to rent it back for 2 months? How about rent free? You're asking this much, I'll pay you this much more. You would normally pay owner's policy of title insurance. How about I pay it? Don't worry about repairs. Let's just put 0. Appraisal, I'll waive it as long as appraisal comes in. I'll pay the difference. I mean, I can go on and on with the 10-page purchase contract where I'm helping our agents go, you've got to get that aggressive, because sellers not all yet understand their true power right now in the market. They're just starting to realize their power of leverage to negotiate. During the recession, the buyers clearly understood, and they beat up the sellers. Buyers beat them up all the way down to that lowest of lows in 11. Sellers are just starting to wisen up with what leverage they have and power with their own agent representation and what the buyers are starting to do. So kind of get ready. It's getting more aggressive. There are more white papers coming from our legal hotline of the Nevada Realtor Association almost daily with, be careful doing this, be careful doing that. Encourage you to talk to an attorney. Get your client to talk to an attorney before they waive this and waive that, because buyers are coming in going, I don't care, I just want the house. Then they get the house and go, what did I just get? Who told me to do it? And then there's lawsuits that might be threatened. So in hot markets like this, people get really litigious, you know, and attorneys start reappearing into the market and go, oh, this is going to be fun again. Earnest money disputes every other day.
Wow, it's amazing time. Well,
yeah,
we're past our 1 o'clock hour. Darrell, thank you so much. I think this was a eye-opening for
I'll forward
a lot of
you
us
some
in so many different
emails,
ways.
and thank you for your time. Nice to see everybody. Good luck with everything.
Yeah, thank you so much. And everybody else, take care, and we'll be chatting on over email.
Thank
you,
you,
everybody. Thank you, Darrell.